Well, WIS Investigates is looking further into how ankle monitors work. This after we are not getting any answers of who oversees the process when a monitor is no longer working. At least 4 violent crimes reported the past 6 months have had defendants cut their ankle monitors and now are being charged with another crime. Investigative reporter Derek Rush took a closer look at how South Carolina's GPS monitoring system works. In this taped report, he explains who's actually responsible for putting on ankle monitors and what happens when things go wrong.
Well, we now know that the ankle monitors that are not put on by the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon or the Department of Juvenile Justice are put on by bondsmen. If those bondsmen do not have the ability to monitor themselves, they are monitored by private monitoring companies. Today, we worked with a SLED-registered private monitoring company to get a better insight on how the tracking process works and where there could be discrepancies.
It really gets to me. You know, you're being put on these monitors to stay out of jail.
In the cases we've reported this week where ankle monitors either died or were cut for days or even weeks at a time, I wanted to get a better idea of how trackers are notified when a monitor is cut. ICU Monitoring, a SLED-registered monitoring company who's been in business for 40 years in South Carolina, showed me the process. Registering a monitor for me in the system, designating a home address and an area that I'm not allowed to go. As soon as I do, the system tracks my movement in real time and an alert comes to me and the monitoring company saying I'm in a restricted area.
If it's a domestic violence or like they have an exclusion zone they're not supposed to be in, dead battery, we have 24 hours to send it in.
But their policy is different from state law for bail bondsmen.
Notification when electronic monitoring is violated within 48 hours of finding out that they have become aware that a provision of the monitoring requirements has been violated.
We also learned that some private monitoring companies aren't always a 24-hour operation.
There are times that's on the weekends that something happens and we're not in the office or we're out putting a monitor on or whatever. We get it to them as soon as we can.
In one of the scenarios we are investigating, it was a weekend party and the shooting happened on that weekend. So there could be a gap in notification in theory?
In theory, yeah, but I have officers and detectives and investigators call me all weekend when I'm off. And we actually, I respond to them.
How are people able to let their monitor die, tamper with it, and sometimes go for days, even weeks at a time, without being picked up or notified?
Yeah, well, the only thing we're really responsible for is to track and report. So if they're, something's dead or they could be in places where they're not supposed to be, we report it. The violation, we do the violation, and that's to show that the bondsman needs to go pick them up. Because by law, through SLED, it does state that it's bondsman's responsibility to go pick them up.
And Sheriff Leroy Ravenel's statements in his initial press conference about Sincere Gibbs point directly at the discrepancies.
And somebody's supposed to be supervising that. Hopefully somebody knew that the ankle monitor wasn't on or wasn't working, so somebody should have been looking for him before now.
In addition to digital tracking, the company was able to print out a movement report that shows where I was while I had the monitor on, and it gave updates every 10 to 15 minutes. We were also finally able to contact the monitoring company Reliable Monitoring Solutions. That's who was monitoring Sincere Gibbs' ankle monitor. They told me they don't have comment at this time, but are investigating further on whether or not they contacted the bondsman when his monitor died. Reporting here in the newsroom, I'm Derek Rush.